Hey guys, welcome back to another Unreal Engine 4 tutorial. Alright, so I got another request to do a loot system, a random loot system, as in like a drop system. So let's do that today. This might be a little bit of a longer video. I have to warn you guys, I am a bit sick, so if I do sound funny, I'm sorry. But let's just get straight into it. Alright, so you might notice a couple of cuts in the video. It's just my recording software changed today. NVIDIA experience, whatever, the experience thing, the shadow play, it got updated. And it's really buggy right now. It's dropping my sound. It's not recording the right things. So if you do see a couple of cuts, I'm sorry. It's just with this, I have to keep on checking up on this shadow play just to make sure that it's working. So let's grab what we're doing. So let's understand how the system works. So I'm just going to get my notes here. So basically how this works is we're going to need a couple of things. First of all, we're going to need a character. Character we already have. Then we're going to need a item, so a lootable item, and a place to store that item. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a system in this video. It's probably going to be about 45 minutes of video. So buckle in, let's get right into it. So we're going to make a system that you can apply to your AI, to a box of some sort, and to players if you're making multiplayer. Alright, so I'm going to make a loot system, small, quick little loot system. You guys can then apply it to anything you want and adapt and change it. Alright, so let's get straight into it. We're going to need a couple of things. I basically started a new project. I created a side scroller template and I've created a chest quickly. As you can see, I created a little chest mesh just to mess around with in Blender. I'll upload it for you guys so that you can use it as well if you want. Go ahead, be crazy with it, put on some texturing, whatever you need to do, use it. Alright, so this is going to be what's in the world to where we go pick up our items. So this is going to be our test chest. Test chest. That's a funny word. Alright, so let's create a couple of things. So the first things we're going to need to create a structure. And we're going to call this our item info. So we're going to start out by working on our item info. Then we'll do our player and we'll continue from there. Alright, so we're going to need an item info. We're going to need another blueprint type, enumeration, and we're going to need from here, it's going to be called item type. Alright, then we're going to need one more thing. We're going to go blueprint class and actor. Now this is going to be our item master BP. Alright, so let's quickly grab that. I'm going to open up my reference project just so I can see what's going on, just to not make any more mistakes. I am recording this for the second time, so if you do see some things here that are not supposed to be, I'll just quickly delete them and we'll carry on. Alright, great. So now that we've created our 3 little items that we're going to need mostly, we're also going to open up our, in my case, it is my side scroller character. Yours, it will be different unless you're following this tutorial exactly. Alright, so you just open up your character sheet, not sheet, blueprint, dang it. Alright, and then we're going to do a couple of things. So we're going to open up our character, we're going to open up our item master, our item info, and our item type. Alright, so we're just going to open up everything and we're going to start from the back and go forward. So we're going to change our item types quickly because we're going to need that. So we're going to go 4 of these. I'm going to do 4. You can keep on adding. Let's quickly see what I did here to add them. Okay, so food. So these item types are going to be for what kind of item this is so that we can change what it does when we use them. I'm not going to do a use system. I'm just going to do a loot system for now in this video. If you guys want to see a use system, let me know down in the comments below. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and you'll see it. as soon as I push it out. I'm probably going to try and put out videos once a week now, probably every Monday. That's why I'm trying to do this now today, so that I can push it out and try and start to get into a proper schedule. Alright, so the next item type will be a drink, because why not? Then we're going to do a resource. Am I misspelling it probably? I'm probably misspelling these, but I really don't care right now. I'm going to do one more called junk. Alright, so that's our item types. Save, and we can close down the item types. Now, in the item info, we're going to need a couple of things. So the first thing we're going to need is item mesh. Whoa, 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 whoa. So many buttons are being pressed right now. Mesh, this is going to be of a static mesh reference. Alright, great. New variable. Item name. This is going to be of text. New variable. Item description. Alright. Then we're going to need what else? Item type. This is where the item type enum comes in. Type. Instead of text, we're going to change this to search item. Jeez, I'm squeaking for some reason. Item type. Alright, then we're going to also need a item size. Item size. And this is going to be an integer. So what I'm going to do is for this item size thing, it's basically going to be 1, 2, and 3. It's going to be one of 3 integers. 1 being small, 2 being medium, and 3 being large. So our inventory system that we're doing here for this example will be done in item slots. So 1 slot is a small, 2 slots is a medium, 3 slots is large. You can obviously change that as you feel. I'm just going to do that because it's very simple for now. Alright, so then item value. Alright, so this is for if you want to implement an economy system, you can add an item value to it too. Alright, so now that we've saved, we've created our struct, we've saved it. And actually, no, we need one more thing. I forget about this all the time. Item thumb. This is for displaying your item in your, if you want to create a widget of some sort that displays your items, you're going to need to do that. Alright, so now I've created the item type. We need to go into master, item master blueprint. Alright, so I'm going to quickly open that up on my side. And then we're going to need a couple of things. So here we're going to need a static mesh. And I'm going to call this item mesh. Then we're going to need a collider, collision box. I'm going to do a sphere just because the sphere will be called our interaction box. I'm going to put this up to like 50. Alright, it's a little bit bigger. It's just easier for us. Alright, so that's our item master BPU. This is what it looks like. So the first thing we're going to do, before we even carry on, that's what we're going to do. We're going to add a variable, and we're going to call this item info. Alright, so this is going to be an editable variable, and it's going to be exposed on spawn, and it is of type item info struct. Alright. Great. Now that we've created that, we can check what's going on here. 1 second, I'm just going to check my variables. There we go, item info. Alright, then we're going to need to create 2 more variables, but that's only, actually we're not going to need them now because we're not doing value yet. We're just doing size and inventory. Alright, so let's create a couple of functions. So the first thing we're going to need is, well, the functions. I'm going to do them as I've done them before. So the first ones we're going to need is interact with item. Alright, so when we interact with an item, we want to do the following. We're going to right click, we're going to get our player pawn. Alright, we're going to cast it, cast to your character. I'm going to right click and make it pure cast because I know this is going to run because our character will be in there before. Alright, now we're going to need to add a couple of functions to our character before we can do this. So I'm just going to do a print string here just so we can finish off this function. I don't want to leave it undone in a way, so let's do this and just call this add item to inventory. And then just a simple return node for now. Return. Alright, so we're going to create this function next anyway. So add item to inventory. Alright, great. We're going to go back here. Instead of the sprint string, we're just going to throw that in there. Alright, so there we go. That is our interact with item done. Now remember, this can change depending on what your inventory does. So if your items can be picked up and held, you can do that here. This is all done within this interact with item. My items, for example, can only right now, when you interact with them, be added to my inventory. Alright, so we're going to go back into here and we're going to need to create an input. So the input will be our player. So this will be obviously of a what is my player called? Side scroller. Yours will be whatever your character is named. Alright, and then we just drag the side scroller character out and drag it into the player. We are now done with our interact with item. We can close it off and let's continue with our add item to backpack. Alright, so here we're going to need to do a couple of things. Alright, so before we can actually do such a thing, we can actually change this up a little bit. So let's quickly get player pawn. So this will be our character. Then we're going to cast it at begin play. Cast. There we go. Cast to side scroller character. Yours obviously is named different. Right click and just promote it to a variable. That way you don't actually have to player ref. There we go. Now we don't actually need to do this entire get player pawn and cast it. You just grab player ref, throw it in there, and then you can shrink this function down even more. Great. I like to keep my functions really small. Like, I like to keep my code very clean. That way I can read it. That way anybody else can read it. So now, before we can actually do this add item to inventory, we need to go into our side scroller character. So I don't like changing over sides so much, but it's going to have to be done. So let's create a couple of variables here. So the first one we're going to create is interactable. Interactable, question mark. Then we're going to create another one and call this I misspelled that terribly, interactable object, then interacted, and then that is it. Alright, so that is, oh no, that is not it, because we need to also create our let's call it current inventory. Alright, so let's go down the list and change the type. So interactable will be, obviously because it has a question mark, it will be a boolean, but we need to make it editable. This interactable object will be of item master BP reference, and it is also editable. Then interacted is exactly as is, and here it's going to be another item master BP reference, but this time it's going to be an array. So this is now our variable setup. Grab a look at it. We have 2 booleans and 2 item blueprint BPs, item master blueprints. One is a array and one is just a reference. So now we have created all these variables. What do we do with them? So first things first, we need to have a way to actually be able to interact with our objects. So we're going to right click and just type E. If you have a use button already set up in your project, use that. Please don't let me stop you. I'm using E because there's no use button in this project, and if I have to set it up, it's going to be much longer. So the first thing we're going to do, on pressed, we're going to hold B on our keyboard and click to create a branch, and we're going to do a check. Is this object interactable? Alright, so how we're doing this is when we creating our what object we're interacting with, we're going to be casting to our player and we're going to be setting this interactable. That's why it is editable. Alright, then on released, we're going to set their interacted, that was right, dang it. We're going to set it to not, and it's going to also drive a reset. So we're gonna drag this out and do once, do once, do once, not multi-input, but just once, and the reset will be dragged in through there. Alright, so that is now our reset switch done, and we can carry on. So if we press E, the object is interactable, we're going to then say, we have interacted. Great, we've interacted. And then we're going to need another branch. So hold B, click, create a branch, drag this out, and then we're going to, let's check if we've done this. Alright, so there we go. You see, we've created the interact with item. So now here we can just grab our interactable object, cast it to our item master BP, convert it to a pure cast, and then interact with item. There we go. This is now the target that we're interacting with. Fantastic. That is our use done. Well, pickup. We're going to call this, instead of use, we're going to just say pickup. It's technically a use button, but it's a pickup function that we just created. In a sense, we're interacting with the item, and that's basically what we're doing there. All right. Now, the next thing we're going to need is we're going to go and we need to create a couple more functions. Yay! Alright, so what we need is we need to do a get current inventory function. So we're going to call this get current inventory size. Alright, now the reason we're doing this as a size is because this is going to be used to decide, hey, can I carry any more when you're speaking to the item? And the item will be like, I want to get inside you. Can I come in? And then your character will be like, let me check how much inventory space I have. That's basically what we're doing here. Alright, so what we do is we get our current inventory, drag it out, and just do for each loop. Alright, there we go. Alright, I'm going to quickly check on my sound, so I'm going to stop here. So for each loop here, we're going to do the following. We're going to need to create a couple of things. Alright, so we're going to create a couple of functions, not functions, in variables. Alright, so first one, it'll be I'll just do it, inventory full, question mark. Alright, it's a boolean, it is not an array. Okay, and then we're also going to need our current inventory size. Current inventory size. Alright, so current inventory size, integer, and that's done there. We're going to also create one more thing, create a local variable and call this counter. The counter is basically just, it will be called once, it will then reset, and will call again and reset all the time. Alright, so what we're going to do is for each loop body, we're going to grab our counter and set it. So you hold Alt on your keyboard, drag the variable out, and it will drag it out as a set. So this array element, if you remember, we created the item info. There it is, get the item info. So now we've gotten the struct, and within it, if we right click it and say split, we can actually see all the things within this structure. One of them being the item size. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a plus. So just hold control and drag this line out just to keep it a little bit neater. So we're going to grab our counter value. Alright, there it is. We're going to plus it to our item size, and then we're going to set that as the new counter. We will then check, we need one more variable, and call this inventory slot space. Alright, there we go. I'm going to click compile that because we need to set this. I'm going to say 5 is the maximum we can carry. Alright, you can obviously change this, like you can add special equipment that can add more slot space, whatever, backpacks, bags, hats, whatever you want, you can add in there. Alright, so we're going to grab that and we're going to check, is it bigger or equal to? Is it bigger or equal to our inventory slot space? So is it bigger or equal to 5? If so, we're going to, actually, we don't need a branch here. We can just set our inventories full. Alright, so if false, it will set inventories full as false. If true, it will set it to true. This is what it's doing. That is it. Then we're going to go from the completed node, just drag this out, rewrite node, and then we're going to set our current inventory size to our counter. Alright, and then we're going to do a return. Now the return node needs 2 outs. So one will be our inventory size. So this is our current inventory, oh my gosh, inventory size. And we're also going to need, is our inventory full? There we go, inventory full. Fantastic. So now that that is done, let's carry on. So this is now going to be able to get how much space we have. Alright, so the next thing we're going to need to do is we're going to go back to our item master BP, and we can now continue with our add item to inventory. So the first thing we're going to do is drag this out and say get current inventory size. There we go. We're going to get the inventory size, and then we also need to drag this out and just say get inventory slot space. Alright, so the reason we're doing this is because our backpack might not be full, but that doesn't mean that if you have 2 slots, you can carry a large item. So we're going to do 2 checks here. We're going to need 2 branches. So hold B on your keyboard, just click, and then what we're going to do is we're going to grab this branch, drag this out, and the first thing we're going to check is if our backpack is full. If it is full, we're going to just print string and just type in, I'm calling it a backpack because, I don't know, it's your pockets, whatever. Just say inv full, just so that you know what's happening and why it's not actually picking anything up. Alright, then, if it's false, so if our inventory is not full, which is exactly what we want it to not be, is full, we're going to get our inventory space and we're going to minus it from our current inventory size. Now, does this, what we want to check is, does this equal, greater or equal to, is it greater or equal to our item info? You're going to be using this item info a lot, so just split it. And is it greater or equal to our size of the item? And if true or false, we carry it on. So if, need a return node here. Alright, so there we go, return. If it is true, so if it is greater or equal to true, then we can print string, and this is actually add item, and here we're going to need this very same thing, false. There we go, return. Alright, so in order to add this item, what do we need to do? We need to grab this player variable. I'm going to create a bunch of rewrite nodes just to keep this neater. Drag this out all the way here, because we're going to need it anyway, so you might as well have it close by. So now what we need to do is we need to get our inventory. What did we call this? I'm sorry, I forgot. Current inf, that's what we called it. Get current inf, there it is, get the current inf. And then we're going to do the following. We're going to drag this out back a little because it's bothering me now. Right, there we go. We can delete this add item because we actually don't need it there. And then we're going to do add. So what we're doing is we're just adding to our current inventory array. What is this item? So what are we adding? We're adding this specific item that we're interacting with. So this. When you're working with parent blueprints like we are right now, you need to think in cases of this item that you're not going to cast to a specific item, you're going to cast to this item because this is actually a child of the item. So when you actually spawn our candy bar, for example, or shoe, whatever you're making, it will actually still be an item master blueprint. That's the cool thing about how this works. Alright, so now that once we've added it, well, first of all, we're going to want it to attach to our player just so it's going to like spin around our head or whatever. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the actor collision because we don't want it to collide, firstly. Secondly, we're going to set actor hidden in game. This you can do later on when you have a lot of things. I'm keeping it in a off, like I'm keeping it on so that it's there, but it's not going to be hidden at the moment. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to attach it. Attach to actor. So there we go. There's our parent actor is actually our player reference. I'm just going to drag it from here. Parent actor will be our player reference. Actually, no, we're not going to do it like that because we need to keep this functional. So there we go. This is going to attach to the thing that's picking it up. That's what it's going to do now. It's going to attach it to whatever just picked it up. And then our location, we're going to snap to target. And we're going to actually do this to the head. So we can actually just see things as they change. Because if you don't put it somewhere, you're not going to see it. And you're going to wonder, what is happening? Why is this not working? Alright. So now that we've created this add, we need to continue. We need to now create another return node here. Return node. And that is our add item to inventory piece done. Now we have an error somewhere. Inventory folder. Make sure to compile. Okay, that's fine. It says we don't need to. We don't need to. We'll do it like that. There we go. Save. And this will compile as well, and all errors will be cleared. Alright, I like to have more space when working with blueprints, so remove that. Make this a bit smaller, I think. Alright, great. So now that we have our function to add our item set up, we need to change a couple of things in our construction script. Because now we're creating this item, this magical parent-child relationship, but now how is it going to know what to set to where? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our item info. And if you remember, we actually set up all these variables here. So this way we're going to be using it. So we're going to grab our item mesh. I'm going to set mesh. Now you want to be careful because you don't want to set this item mesh within the item master blueprint because otherwise everything will be the same item. Whatever spawns first will be that item. We're going to set the static mesh. So it's going to take this mesh and it's going to set it to our item mesh. Alright. That is it for this thing. Alright, now let's quickly think of a way that we can have a display for how much stuff we're carrying. How about that? Because you want to know how much things you're carrying. So let's quickly do that. Let's grab here. We're going to create... Okay, that's what we're going to create. We're going to create a user interface. Going to go to widget and just create this as a inventory display widget. There we go. So we're going to open it up and we're just going to create a progress bar. No, we're not going to just create a progress bar. We're going to create a couple of things. Progress bar will be one of them. Text box will be one of them. And so will, trying to remember where it is. Panel? Overlay. There you go, overlay. So the overlay is what we actually want. We're going to create it right there. Just throw this there, make it a bit bigger. There we go. So this is going to show us how much stuff we're carrying. So 0.5, no, 0.5. 1 minus 0.5. I don't know. 0. Alright, so size Y 100. This will be 0. Fantastic. There we go. 400 minus 50. Great. that's done. We're going to grab this progress bar and the text and drag it into the overlay. This progress bar will be filling, and so will this. Set it in the middle. Bang, there we go. Straight in the middle, and we're going to say 0 out of 5 because I think that's what we set it to. This bar fills up this way. Okay, fantastic. So now that we have that set up, we need to actually bind these things a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on our text and just bind, create a binding. This isn't going to be kept around for long, so I'm not going to rename anything to be anything special. I'm literally just going to do this very quickly and have it go through. So what we need is on event construct, we're going to do get player pawn. There we go, get player pawn. Actually, we could get, no, we're going to need player pawn because we need to cast to that. So then cast, there we go, cast to our character name. Here you can do a normal cast because it's just going to do it once. It's actually keeping it a little bit neater this way. So then as this, I'm going to get our current, get current inventory, but actually, no, so we're going to set right click and just say, set this to our player ref. Alright, great. We have a player reference. That's all we need from here. Let's carry on. So in our inventory, get text, goodness. There we go, get text size. What we're going to need is our player reference, get current inventory size is what we called it, I believe. Just double make sure. Current inventory size, yes. And also we're going to need our get inventory slot space. So here we're going to right click and just type in format text. Here we're going to say curly bracket open and just say current, close the curly bracket, / and just do max. So what happens is now when I press enter, you'll see those two items pop up. I can drag that into the results. So the current inventory size, max inventory size, compile, and that's done. Now we also need to create a binding on the progress bar because that's what we did there for a reason. So we're going to grab the binding and we're going to need the exact same thing as here. So you can just copy and paste this. Copy, Control C, Control V, and then what we're going to do is actually grab these and do to float. Now the reason I'm doing it to float is because when I was testing this, it didn't, when you divided two integers, they behaved really strange. So we're just going to divide these because this wants a value from 0 to 1 and we're getting a value of a percentage, so it will be a point something or 1. So there we go, that is done. Now on the side scroller character, which you're going to do on, where's begin play on here? Okay, begin play, event begin play, just create widget. Okay. Actually this player reference, no, we're already doing it, it's okay. Class is our inventory display widget, owning player is get controller. There we go, and the return value just added to the viewport. So now you'll see when we press play, we're going to get our, I'm pointing at the screen like you guys can see it, we get our inventory slots and everything. Alright, that's great. What next? Well, we're going to go back and work a little bit in our item master blueprint because we need some more things in here. So we've created the interact with item, we've been able to add it, so now we can add it. Now we need to decide when we're interacting with this item, what happens. So we're going to set this to set interactable item. Now if you remember in our side scroller character we created this. This is exactly what we are setting. So close up that widget, set the interactable item. So what we need to do is we're going to need a couple of things in here. So we're going to need an overlapping actor, and this is actually of actor reference, and then we also need interactable question mark, and this is a boolean. If I ever add a question mark, it will always be a boolean. Now we're going to drag out this player reference, this overlapping actor, does it equal to our player reference. This is our first check. We want to make sure that everything here is right. So we need a branch. I'm going to drag it, connect it. So now we have connected that up. Now we need a couple of things. So drag this out and set. 1 second. Okay, we need one more variable here. Call it interacted, and this is a boolean. All right. Give me 1 second. I'm just trying to see why am I missing something. I don't think so. Interactable. Yes. Interacted gets. Oh, okay. Right. That's it. Okay, I remember now. So we actually checking if this item gets interacted with from the player. That's where we're doing it. My bad. Alright, so set there interacted. I'm squeaking. I don't know why, but I'm squeaking. Alright. Anyways, that's better. So we're gonna check this player reference first. Second, we're going to set that's where. So this player reference, we're gonna Control W it to get a duplicate of it and just drag this out and set interactable object. There we go. That's where I was confused. And then we're going to do self because we're setting this object to be the interactable object. Alright, and then we need to drag this again. We need another player reference and say interactor. There we go, set interactable. And because we want to be able to interact with this object, when we click it, we set it, yes, this is interactable. Actually, here it is. We set it here. This is where we set it from. I'm very sorry. I'm getting very confused today. The one thing about working on something beforehand and then trying to remember what you did and why you did it. Alright, so we set it to interactable, and then we're going to return. Return node. That's perfect. And we're going to just create a thingy here. And the reason we're doing that is because if it's not able to do anything, we're just going to return. Instead, there we go. Great. So if it's not the player reference, then we just can't do anything. We just return straight out. Alright, then the next function we need is, that's it. For this part of the tutorial, that is it, until we start doing inventory systems properly, displaying them and all of that. Alright, so now we should be able to right-click on our item master BP and create a child blueprint class and call this candy. We'll just call it candy. Alright, so we're going to open it up, and in the class defaults, in the item info, I'm going to set the mesh to a sphere, if I can find one. Sphere. There we go. Shape sphere. Alright, so that is the shape. I'm going to move this down because it's positioned funny and make it a little bit smaller. It's going to be about 0.5. Great. Great, there we go. We've created our candy. We can even add a object. Alright, there we go. Where's the next thing? Item name will be candy. Item description is candy. Type is food. As you can see, there's our different types. So resource, food, drink, or junk. I'm going to say food. Item size will be 1. And item value I'm going to leave for now. Alright, so now that we've created that, we can compile and save. Remember, we're not setting a material here. You might be asking why we're not setting a material, because when you create the actual meshes, you will assign the materials in the mesh, and when it gets built, when the mesh gets imported into the level, it will already have the mesh assigned to it. So that's great. We're going to drag this candy out, have it hover a little bit, and just press play. Now, there we go. It is interacting. And if we press E, nothing happens. Why does nothing happen? Alright, let's quickly do a little bit of print string. Print strings are your friend when you are trying to debug, not player, file, save. So see, okay, so it's not there. Oh, right. Okay, I remember now. I'm being stupid. I'm forgetting one big problem. Alright, so we're gonna go back into our item master BP, and this interaction box that we created, we're gonna right click and add an event for it under collision, begin overlap, and then we're going to set interactable item to other actor will be our overlapping actor, and interactable yes. Now we're going to click it again and do the exact same thing, but end overlap. There we go, end overlap. Exactly the same function, but we're just going to reverse the, there we go. It's no longer interactable. Right, so we're going to press play, check, boom, it's attached to us. We can run with it. It's now in our inventory. That's fantastic. So there we go. We can run around with it. It's not bothering us. And that's great. So now that's been added. So that's now an item system that we've created. Alright, now in order to spawn loot, let's quickly create a blueprint. I'm not going to do a parent for this. I'm just going to do a basic blueprint and just call this chest BP. Alright, so this chest BP, it's going to have a static mesh. The static mesh is going to be chest. Alright, so there we go. This is our lootable object. Within here, we're going to need a box collision. And if we are anywhere in the vicinity of this box, like this, and like that. Alright, so there we go. If we're in the vicinity of the box, we can interact with it. Let's just put it from the front because you can't open a chest from the back. Alright, so save, compile. Now in the event graph, what's going to happen is I'm going to have this box selected, right click, add event, collision, begin overlap. Alright, this is going to be our other actor. We're going to do a equals equals. We're going to get our player pawn. So this is basically now you can just have an actor when it's destroyed spawn a random item. So if it's our actor and it's true, which it will be most of the time because there's nothing else running in the level, it's true, then just destroy actor. But before we do that, we need to do a couple more things. So we need to spawn actor from class. Alright, so now the class that we do is going to be where is it? Candy. Alright, so what you can do is you can create a function where it selects a random item in the class. So you can have a variable that holds all your pickup classes as like a loot table in a sense. And then when that item is destroyed, whenever this actor is destroyed, it will spawn a random object from within that class. So the spawn transform will be our get actor location. So this is our location. And that's it. So now when we walk into this, we don't have a chest on here yet. Hold on one second. We're gonna put this chest down here and we're gonna rotate it 180. Okay, great. We've rotated it. Now we can pick up this item. There we go, we've destroyed it. And then we can pick up that item too. However, it did not I don't know if you guys noticed that. That did not update, but that did. Okay, so why did it? Oh, okay. I know why it did not update. So what happens is now we've added this. We've finished the string. But what after we've finished, we need to also get the new inventory size. So what we need to do is grab our player reference and then get inventory. Wherever we put that function, get current inventory size, just so that it gets refreshed. Alright, and then we're going to press play. Now this, there we go, 1, deleted, 2. Fantastic, that's all working. So the bug there was, in our add item to inventory, we never refresh how big our inventory actually is. So now I can show you how to do the random. Yeah, I'm going to quickly do a little bonus for you guys. Right click on the item master, create a child of it, and just call this soda. And then another one, and we'll call this rock. And then another one, and then we'll call this trash. Okay, so there we go, trash, rock, soda. I'm going to open up all these, because we need to open them up to edit their things. So this is our trash, item info, item mesh will be what is this, trim, perfect. Call this trash, call this trash, junk. Okay, great. Item size will be 2. You can set that to be random as well if you like. Alright, then soda will be a cylinder. Somewhere there's a cylinder, fantastic. There we go. The class default, call this soda. I'm just naming these things now so that you guys don't have to do it later. Drink, great, compile. And then we need rock. Rock will be resources. Rock, and we'll get no, not a cylinder. We'll do plain. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. That looks like a rock, right? Rock. Change the item size to 2 because that's a medium size rock. Soda will be 1. Trash, check. Okay, great. So now what's going to happen is under this chest BP, this can technically be treated as a master blueprint. We're going to need a function and just say this: get random loot table. Alright, so from here we're going to get random integer. So right click, random integer in range. Remember, we have 4 different items right now. So 4, and then we're going to do on switch. So here we're going to need to add all the pins. So there you go, 4 pins. If you add one more, it will do it, but you don't have it. So, oh, sorry, 3 is our maximum there, my bad. Okay, so we'll still add it. Alright, anyways, so here we're going to do a return. We're going to do 4 of these, guys. This is just one quick way to do it. You can do it in a much different way. It's just I'm running out of time for this video if I want to keep it some way decent. But we need to output, and we need this to be item spawned, and this will be of our item master blueprint class. Actually, no, it's not item master blueprint class. Oh no, it is. There we go. Candy, rock, soda, trash. Alright. Spawn that, save, compile. Now, this default will be candy. So if it fails to do it, it will instantly spawn you candy. So in the event graph, what we're going to do is we need to change this to actually be a pure function, so that it can just plug straight in here, get random loot from table. There we go, there it is. Drag that in there, and that's now the class. So let's quickly, boom, there you go. Great, spawn some trash. Alright, so now let's throw in some more chests just to test this. Here we go. Another chest. Hold Alt to duplicate items. There we go. Okay, so that's 3. We'll do one more here. Alright, great, let's test it out. So we pick up our candy, or there is a soda can. Okay, soda can isn't interactable because guess what? We've made it way too big. So this is going to be like 0.2. Alright, there we go. Now that's fixed. Let's pick up this thing. Go. Get a rock. We got the rock. Got the soda can. Got trash. But now we can't pick up trash because our inventory is full. And we can't pick up trash because our inventory is full. Great. It's all working. I want to thank you guys so much for the recent support. I've recently, I think, reached nearly 600 subscribers. I think I'm like at 600 or just under. So I want to thank you guys for all the support. I really hope that I don't have to re-record this part. But I want to thank you guys for all the support. You guys have been awesome. Let me know if you want to see the next part of this, where we actually create an inventory system that you can interact with. And leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Comment down below if you guys have any problems or any suggestions, and make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and I'll check you guys next time.